Hi, I'm Wisconsin Tiff, and I am the only one who has sex with senior citizens for free.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins. This is the only one in the room, but I'm never the only one in this room. Except for my boyfriend, producer, and co-host Scott Slaughter is not here today, but with me today is Kaylin Bean, who is our
Hello.
producer.
Filling in for Scott today?
Yes. Can I call you hun, Kaylin? I
Sure, why not?
I'll call you hun too or something.
On to,
I
yeah.
usually call Scotty hun Tiffany. So we are we're here talking to Wisconsin Tiff, who probably during the interview I'm just going to call Tiffany. So she's 35 and she's making a name for herself in the industry, and we'll talk about what industry that is. By shooting erotic content, I guess we just talked about it. So she's making a name for herself in the industry by shooting erotic content with older men and seniors. Tiff is a Wisconsin native whose scorching scenes spotlight her enthusiasm and sense of humor. She's proud of being unique and creating content that strays outside the norm. And then this is a quote from you. It says, I do things a little differently because of my personality. I beat the drum in my own style, which I love. I love this about you. Um, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you are coming to us true to your name from Wisconsin today, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've been really looking forward to this talk because this is a subject that I was just fascinated with. Just the idea, and to be transparent, I'm going to shout out Brian Gross, who is your publicist and a really great friend to the show. He's brought us a lot of great people, and his first line when he wrote to me about you was that you have sex with seniors for free. So how could I not open that email, right? And read more about it. Um, so I want to get to you. I wanted you to talk to me just a little bit about your childhood because it's really remarkable. And I think it speaks to kind of where you are in your life right now with how generous you are and how inclusive you are. So I know that your mother was murdered by your stepfather when you were a baby, 4 years old, right? Is that right?
He wasn't really considered my stepfather. He was my mom's boyfriend for a very short period, my sister's biological father.
Mm.
And it was not for a very long time. It was just a very toxic relationship, and I only remember him as being very aggressive and not very nice.
Mm.
But I really wouldn't even consider him a stepfather, but he was just in the picture for a very short time.
Sure, I completely get that. And I know I don't want to dwell on that because I can understand how
Mhm.
traumatic it is. But it changed everything about your life. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yes.
So what happened with you next? Where did you go and who were you with?
My father was not in the picture because my mother and my father separated. They were married and they were getting divorced. And my father was away working when she died. And when he got the news, he had to come and step in and take custody of us. But in order for him to do that, he had to be monitored by CPS to make sure that he was capable of doing that. So we lived at our aunt's for a while, at my aunt's house for a while, so that it looked like it was a stable setting. And then after everything got fine, we kind of just took off, and my father just took care of my brother and I on his own. My sister was adopted out to a family because my father wasn't the biological father of her, so he couldn't legally adopt her because he wasn't within those means, anyways. And he was an independent worker. He did a lot of entrepreneurship type stuff after he got us in his custody. So I only remember a lot of being outside a lot with him, outdoors, camping, diving. He was a diver, so I spent a lot of summers on the boat watching for barges.
Wow.
And there was this one point in our life where he wasn't doing well financially, and we ended up just camping but sleeping in the vehicle during the summertime, and it's pretty much camping, but we didn't have a home. So he said we were camping, but it was pretty much we were homeless, but I didn't realize that until later in life that we were kind of homeless.
That's amazing that he was able to do that for you.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a mom, and I know how much effort I put into, or my kids are grown now, but how much effort
Mhm.
while I was raising them, I put into shielding them from things and making things happy, and trying to spin everything in a positive way so that they could actually have fun and enjoy their childhood. And it sounds like your dad did a really amazing job of shielding you and your brother from the realities of what he was dealing. He must have been hustling, right? And just out there trying to, because he had, CPS, you had mentioned, had monitored that for the year. That's Child Protective Services. So, he obviously he wanted to make sure that you guys didn't go back into care again, right? Like or into the system again, so that he could have you and keep you.
Yes, sort of. We were in care, I think, for a few weeks, until they could figure out what was going on, and then we had to wait till court and stuff. There was that was involved because I had to testify. I had to be in front of people and tell them what happened,
Mm.
and there was just a lot that happened. But after we left Wisconsin and we headed down to Tennessee when I was 6 or 7, and that's when things took a turn with my father. He became very aggressive, and I believe it was because of the stress of taking care of my brother and I, and he couldn't handle it. So
Mm.
things got very physical and really bad. So we he tried his best, and people like felt bad, and secretly he was beating the crap out of my brother and I, and
Mm.
everybody always said we were such really good kids, and then he said that like, we were the worst kids. He would
Oh.
always say we were the worst kids, and like he would compare us to TV shows, and then it kind of just made me doubt myself all the time. But there was always like highs and lows where he would be really nice, and then he would get really mean, and I just it really confused me a lot when I look at now back to my childhood. It's the reason why I got into the relationship that I did with my ex-husband, and now I look back and I'm like, I look back at other families and how they run as a family, and I'm like, wow, I wish I would have had more guidance in my life that I never got. I never got to do therapy or anything. I started therapy after I left my ex-husband, or right before I left my ex-husband.
Wow.
So I got to learn a lot about other people, why they are the way they are. And unfortunately, I'm not in my father's life right now because of what he had done to me,
Mm.
and with how he treated me as a child, for my own peace. So,
Wow. Yeah.
mhm,
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, that's,
mhm.
first of all, that's really brave for you to share. So thank you for that. And I completely understand, because I know the next part of your story is you moved back to Wisconsin when you were in your teens, right? And then after that, you met your ex-husband. I also think that's a really familiar story because we're bonded by trauma, for people to
Mhm,
seek out trauma after they've been victims of trauma. Um,
mhm.
but you became a wife, right? After, like, that's what you did when you married your now ex-husband, and I think, did you stay home and were like a homemaker? Is that correct?
We met each other when we were 16, and we didn't get married until I believe we were 25 or 26. That sounds so bad. I can't remember what age we were. But we got married finally. We already had kids. Well, we had more, but um, we ended up getting married. but I did get pregnant at a very young age after high school. But I did get pregnant, and I really was so excited because I finally felt like I love taking care of people. I love kids. I love babies. So me finding out that I was pregnant was I was really excited, but I was also nervous, but I was more excited, and we had just bought in a house too, and we were very young. We were 21.
Wow.
And even though I was really excited, unfortunately, my ex-husband was not. I tried to be as happy as I could, and I would want him to be like kind of involved, but he didn't really want anything to do with the pregnancy, and he was just so angry at me all the time. And I never understood why, because I was so excited and it was always about money, but everything turned out fine. And then after I had our child, I stayed home because he did not feel comfortable watching and taking care of our child, so I had to stay home. And because I had anxiety about what if like he doesn't do it the way that I do it and something happens, so I wanted to stay home because I was having anxiety about if something were to happen, and because he didn't want to change diapers or anything,
Yeah.
and he didn't feel he needed to. So I feel I didn't see that as I thought that was normal, and now I look back today and it's not really normal.
Well, it's not really a partnership, is it? Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish more people knew, but I try not to think negative about it. I kind of use it
Mhm.
as a learning experience because I mean, I am trying to get along with him, but at the same time, I still get really upset. Like, I don't know. So,
I get it. I have an ex that I co-parented with, and we're never not going to be co-parents because we always have our kids, and I absolutely try to look in that. I try to put a positive spin on all of it because we have to get
mhm.
along, and we're tied together for life, and it's just the way that I choose to do it. So I completely get that. Tell me what happened during COVID.
I worked at the school part time, and because of that, we had to. They shut the school down. Actually, I came back from maternity leave, and I was so sad because I just wanted to be home
Mm,
and just be a mom.
yeah.
I was like, so when I first heard about, oh, they're going to be shutting the school down for a week, I'm thinking like, oh, I get to be home for a week. I'm okay with that. And then they said 2 weeks, and I'm like, I would be fine with just 3 weeks. And then it turned out to be, a very long time.
Yes.
And it got very depressing because I wasn't at work, and
What did you
my
do for work at this school?
I worked in the cafeteria.
And you love that?
I did.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I
I bet you were like the hottest lunch lady there.
got that a
Yeah.
lot. They're like, girls like you don't work here.
No, and I'll tell you what I thought of you when I first saw you too when we get there, but I'm sorry, keep going. Keep going. So you were
Um,
starting to get a little bluesy.
hmm because I had a lot of pressure put on me because my ex wanted me to work, and nothing really was hiring. But also at the same time, I really just wanted to be at home with my child, and I, I, I just had all this anxiety because I just wanted to be at home, and we were fine. It
Mhm.
was just that he has a lot of money insecurities, and I was just so happy to be at home, and I just wanted to just be with my family. But unfortunately, he wanted me to be like get out there and work, and it kind of confused me for a while because I didn't understand it. But now when I look back, I kind of understand where he was coming from. But the issue was not having those communication skills and not looking at like everything's going to be fine,
Right.
because right now everything's fine like with him, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, you had purpose at home, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
loved being home. I loved cleaning, even though cleaning is really hard. I even with being here trying to do it on my own. But I realized being single is much easier when you're cleaning because nothing gets really messed up by a man.
Right. That is so true. It is easier. It's much easier. So you lost that job, is that correct?
I didn't lose it. It was more so that the school closed down, so
Right.
they couldn't have
Right.
anybody work. So the school was closed down, and actually because the school was closed down, I got a check like everybody did. But he was still stressing out about money, but that check was
Yeah.
So anyways, I used it to do stuff so that he didn't have to give me any money. Like go to the coffee
Yes.
shop and stuff that he wouldn't have to pay for out of his pocket. But there's too many complicated things to explain about that situation where it's like all over the place. But I ended up, there was one day where I just was tired of feeling like I wasn't good enough because I just felt like I wasn't good enough because he did not, he resented me because I was always like happy and I was like, everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be fine. And you always say, you always just think everything is just fine and everything just goes your way and you just don't worry about anything. And I told him, well, that's because everything will come our way. You just got to be positive about it. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And I started looking into jobs that I could do online so that I could make us more money so that he wouldn't complain about, I don't know really what his goal was because we had a nice house, we had the land, we had a nice savings account. I just don't understand like what was it more
about that for him?
Because we had a bunch of toys, boats. I left it all to him, but
Wow, that's generous.
me spending a little extra at the coffee shop was the big issue. And I just look back now and I'm like, the whole relationship deteriorated because I went to the coffee shop. And I'm not lying.
So you mean like your neighborhood coffee shop?
Mhm.
And
I went.
yeah.
I found this online thing called influencing, and I decided, oh my God, I can do something that I really enjoy because I love making videos. And this woman taught me how to be an influencer and to do brand deals. And that is something that I loved. And eventually I could turn it into something where I make money. But I didn't know a lot about it. But she taught me it, and we didn't have Wi-Fi at the house, so I had to go to the coffee shop to get the Wi-Fi. And because of that, I would have to buy the coffee.
Yes.
So that I wouldn't feel guilty, you know.
Of course.
But over time, my ex didn't want me to do that. He said I'm spending too much money at the coffee shop, and I told him, you know, you're right. So what I did was I wrote like a whole thing about how much coffee I spend, and then if we get Wi-Fi, and showing him like if we get Wi-Fi.
Right.
And then I'm like, but can I still go to the coffee shop a little? But then we save more if we get the Wi-Fi. And he didn't like that idea. He just didn't want me to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a brand deal with Razor scooters, and I was so excited about that. And that was just the highlight of my whole month. But I ended up getting on a podcast for how I was getting these brand deals with under 300 followers, and the reason why how was I able to do that? And that was just me just giving it my all and just acting like these brands are so cool and just shouting them out in my stories, using everything that I use in my daily life, like this toothpaste, like anything.
Yeah.
And and it was funny how I used like everything in my daily life. And that's the reason why I got these brand deals, because they saw that I was like working really hard. And when I did that podcast, it really triggered my ex. And that's when things went south. And I got back home and he was not happy. And I will never, I understand what he means. Like, he didn't want me to be online, but I was doing harmless stuff. And it was kind of like my me time, which I never got.
Yeah.
But I can't go into the full details of what happened. I'll just say that it escalated very, very, very badly. And that's when I shut down and I realized, like, I can't do this. And it's not just from that situation. It was years of being felt like I wasn't good enough ever and trying to do things, and I just never had that support. And finally, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't take it. I begged for so many years. And finally, when I did leave, he tried begging me. He said he would change. But then, because I started OnlyFans, so I could leave because I didn't have the money.
Right.
And then he said he wanted me to come back. He's like, I'll change. And he's like, you have to stop doing what you're doing. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop what I'm doing. But he would still get triggered a little bit, and I wasn't really doing anything much anyways on OnlyFans. And I knew it wasn't going to matter because he would use that against me for any little argument. So just for my own peace, I couldn't be with him.
I understand that, and you're right. We don't have to we're not going to get into the details of it. But what I'm curious about, because I know that, and can you just explain what OnlyFans is for people who don't know?
OnlyFans is a platform that you can use for pretty much anything, as it's a subscription site, but it's mostly known for doing adult content.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what kind of adult content, you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it's known for.
And so when you first started doing videos, they were pretty innocent, right? They were like bikinis and that kind of stuff. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
no nudes.
No nudes.
Because no nudes.
And you enjoyed that though.
I did, but I was doing it more so to make money so I could leave him. And I was doing live streams and I was showing my boobs. So they would give me tips. And that's all I did in the live streams only. But I never did that because I was making really good money during these live streams. And I was putting a bunch of it away because I had to leave him. And I even told him that I'm doing this so I can leave you. And he didn't believe me until I had enough money so I could leave.
Can you explain how you make money during a live stream? Like how that works?
It depends on how you want to run your live stream. Usually you have a menu with a tip goal, or you can have it where there's different ways of doing it, but normally most will do a tip goal where if you'll do this for this and
right, and you're live. And they're watching you live, so they're basically interacting with you, but they're obviously nowhere near you because you're in front of a camera. So it's very safe for you.
Yes.
All right, so that was all really interesting to me. I'm just going to tell you how when I started researching you, I was like, I don't know what I expected you to look like, but I was like, oh my God, this girl's stunning. And my experience with people who do adult content, and that's actually not this, what I'm about to say is actually not entirely true, but a lot of people that I've found who do adult content don't look like they've never had anything done to them. They don't look natural. And you look like you're totally natural, and it's so refreshing. And so that made me even more interested in what you were doing, which is what I want to talk about now, which is moving from, these live stream videos and doing bikini and showing your boobs to having sex on film or having sex on video, and choosing to do it with seniors. Which, start with just the move to having sex on video, and then tell me about the choice to bring seniors into it.
I started doing videos with other people a year into OnlyFans, but not men. It was one woman who I had met on Twitter, and she was so nice. And I figured, okay, I feel that I need to kind of up my game on this, and I don't care if my ex finds out, because the reason why I didn't want to do any kind of crazy stuff is because I had thing where I thought maybe my ex and I will work on things and we'll end up back together. And I didn't want to hurt him. But then I was at a point where I was like, okay, well, I'm just doing this with a woman. It's not a big deal. So I started doing that, and I only worked with women for that year. And then it was a little over about a year ago is when I started actually working with men. But I was marketing towards older men from the beginning when I was on TikTok, talking about how I was into older men and just all this stuff where I had already had an older man fan base for the entire time. So it wasn't that I one day was like, oh, older men, you know, hey. But
you
I just,
embraced it though, right? You
yes,
went to
yes.
embracing it. Why did you decide to do that?
Because I was having men tell me like, hey, you need to like, are there any tapes with you? And I'm like, no, I don't have any with any guys, because I'm just solo and I just work with women. But I mean, I don't mind older men. I was going on a couple dates with older men, but I never created content. So I mean, I incorporated, be like, I would tell the guys like, oh, I went on a date with this guy and he's 50, and they got really excited. Well, they were wanting proof that I was really into older men. So I decided to take a leap of faith. And the only reason I started filming with men was because my ex-husband ended up getting a girlfriend. So then I felt like, okay, he's got a girlfriend and he can leave me alone, because he would always text me like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, leave me alone, let me do my thing. And then, like, just petty stuff, we would argue back and forth. So anyways, he got a girlfriend, and that's when I decided, okay, I feel fine filming with older men. And I met this older man named Tadpole. That's what he goes by. He's a producer, and he's a producer, and he's also in the content too sometimes. And he has these older men. He knows all these older men in Chicago. So he hooks me up with all the older men who know what to expect, because there's a lot of older men who want to film with me who've never been in a video, and they don't understand that there's more to just like showing up. You have to get your STD test done at Talent Test, which is what everybody does in the industry. Well, they should be. If they're not, then they're not filming with people who are established. They have to go do their talent test, and then they show up and they have their IDs, and they have to sign these consent forms so that I can put it on OnlyFans. And he has these guys that already know what to expect. So that's why I love him for that.
So you've done content with younger men as well?
A virgin.
A virgin.
Recently.
Well, that's kind of in the same category, isn't it? So wow, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that. So you kind of went straight to older men because that was your fan base anyway, and you decided that this would be your niche. And do you because your videos look like you're really enjoying it. Do you enjoy it? Is it pleasurable for you?
It's fun.
It's fun.
I've taken a little bit of a break from it because I've done so many.
Yeah.
So right now I'm kind of just taking a little bit of a break. I'm supposed to be doing a fan meet and greet soon in Chicago, and there's going to be a bunch of guys that are so excited to see me.
Yes.
So I'm kind of just taking a break from filming with men at the moment, and then I'll get back into it, because I feel like I've done so many videos where I am now going to be filming back with women for a while, and then I'm going to build up the like the guys are going to be like, when are you going to film with another older man? So I'm just building it back up.
Yeah, and the idea that this is something that you, and I could totally see you, like, taking a break and switching it up for a while. That completely makes sense. It also seems like it'd be good for your brand, because you just don't want to just have the same content, right, over and over and over again. And you want to mix it up. And so the thing that I don't quite understand, and you can explain this to me, is the for free part. What's the for free mean?
They don't have to pay anything to film with me. So when it comes to that, they get the benefit of filming with me. Now, if they want to be one-on-one, I don't do that with one-on-one. I have a camera guy, and the only one-on-one that I've ever have had experience with was with the Virgin. But other than that, Tadpole is the camera guy
Tadpole.
for when, yeah, because it's a lot of guys too, because I do gangbangs too, which I'm only going to probably do like one more this year. I really don't want to do any more of those because I'm at a point where I just don't want a bunch of men on me. I just want to break from that many.
Yeah.
That was just so, uh, the one on, if it's a fan that he thinks he's going to have me all to himself, I do not allow that. That is something that it's very intimate for me, and don't, it kind of just crosses those boundaries.
Yeah.
So they get the advantage of filming with me, and that's how they get to be with me. And I get a return on that content through video sales. So I make a lot of money off of these videos.
That's great. It's like being like a special guest star on your favorite show, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you get to go and you get to be a part of the cast, but it's not like you and, Jennifer Aniston or like whatever your favorite show might be. You're not getting a
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one with her, but you're going to get to be a part of the production, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That makes really sense. And it really makes sense to me too that you would just be like, enough right now. Like, I don't want to do this or feel this or have this around me for the time being. When you are doing it, can you tell me like what your typical day looks like?
When I'm in Chicago, we usually film later in the day because a lot of the guys are at work
Right.
and they have to wait until after they're done with their shift because I don't do shoots on the weekends at all. They just shoot with me in the evening. So a typical day for me, even if I'm not filming, like let's say I'm not filming with a man, but a typical day with just even filming myself, I get up early in the morning, I go work out, and then after my workout, I get myself ready and I lay out my outfits that I'm going to wear for my Instagram reels because I got to market on Instagram reels and other platforms that, have videos that
Yeah.
get pushed out and then guys potentially see it and they'll subscribe. So I work on that and then I do my admin stuff where I will work on editing or I'll message DM fans on OnlyFans and on Fansly, and I'll do that and I'll go back and I'll do something else and then I'll market again on social media and then I'll go message them. And when it comes to filming an actual tape by myself, I'll usually film that later in the day and then I will save that for later and I'll edit it later that day, but I won't post it that day because I'm trying to do a bulk amount of content. So what I do is I do a bulk amount and then I make it last throughout the week. But when it comes to filming with other guys, I usually just go down to Chicago and then I just show up and I'm ready.
That's great. That's a lot. And I was going to say that the videos that I saw at least are very theatrical. Like there's costume changes and you're like in glasses and not glasses. And it's not just like you're going at it. There's a scene that's being set up. So do you like kind of write that out and decide what you're going to play and how you're going to play it?
When you mean I wear glasses, but I sometimes don't want to wear them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's just based off what I'm feeling.
Right.
So with Tadpole, you can just do whatever you want. Like you can wear whatever you want, and I just sometimes I'm just feeling like I want to wear my glasses, and then sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
And I like working with him, and yeah, so it's nice that I get to do what I want to do, how I want to dress up and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And then so you're self-supporting through this. And you enjoy it. Do you like all because that was a lot of work that you just listed off. all the admin stuff, all the videos, and then pushing them onto different platforms so that you can get the subscribers. Do you enjoy that part of it as well?
Sometimes I've gotten to a point where I feel that I've been doing too much. And that's when I realize I need to take a step back
Yeah.
and do a little me time, because I don't want to get to a point where I'm just hating it.
Yeah.
Because I did get to a point where I'm like, this is exhausting. But at the same time, I like working for myself. So that's the downside. But the biggest thing is not taking on too much, because that's when I notice if I'm not getting enough sleep, I get very irritated. And then sometimes I get triggered really easily from my past trauma, and I just don't want my fans to feed off that energy. So I sometimes look at things and I'm like, okay, just be humble. You look at how much you've gotten throughout your entire life, and now you're here, and you need to just take it slow.
Right. Right. So the last thing I want to talk about, and this is something that you have done another interview about, but it was a headline that I saw about being banned from seeing what are they, like retirement homes or senior citizen homes, which doesn't sound like it's a real assisted living facilities. Like that didn't sound like a real headline to me. Is it true? Is that what happened?
I'm not allowed to go in these certain places. They don't want me going in their facilities. They're worried I'm going to have them cause heart attacks.
Wow, that is so funny to me. And these are places in your area and in Chicago or in Chicago? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
Oh, in
in
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, thank you. And
But there is one guy in Chicago.
that
He's from the assisted living center. He's my friend.
has it ever happened? Has anybody ever had a heart attack?
Not that I know of.
No.
I mean, unless they were watching me on video, and I have no idea, but never in person.
I mean, it seems like it's aerobic, right? It would be like good for people to get some blood circulating. So like the word is out though, basically that this is what you do and people are excited to be a part of it if they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. And you in one of the interviews I saw that you said you had an admiration for the qualities that older, more seasoned men bring to the table, understanding and patience and easygoing appeal. And is that just like in comparison to men you've known, like your age in your life? Like not people that you interact with on this level, but just like in general? Do you find that older men
I
are easier?
I feel like they have experienced a lot in their life, and they've learned from their mistakes. So they know what they're supposed to do to be able to talk to a woman. And a lot of men that are my age, which by the way, I've never dated since I've left my ex-husband, so I have no dating
Oh,
experience.
wow. You have no dating experience.
I have no dating experience. But I'll say that I have had men that have gone to high school with me and found out that I left my ex, and they got really excited, and they're like, "Oh, she's single," because they know like I was at home. They know like she's a really happy person. But they don't really know much about boundaries, and I've learned a lot of that through therapy. And because I don't want to just be with them just because they gave me attention, I've had to reject a lot of men my age, because what they think that they're supposed to act towards a woman is not how you act towards a woman. And the men who are older, most of them know, and then some of them who haven't learned are still kind of in their ways. But most of the older men are very respectful towards me, and we can actually hold a conversation, because the things that they want to do that they've done, they like to travel and stuff, and I already do some of the things that they already enjoy. So I feel like I can actually connect with them when it comes to certain goals, especially financial goals.
I love this because I'm just thinking that you were disempowered while you were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as not a lot of children have a lot of power anyway, but it seemed like
Mm-mm.
you were not in control. You didn't have agency when you were a kid with your father, and then with your ex-husband, you didn't have that sense of agency. But now what you're doing is so empowering, right? You are your own agent. Like you make your own decisions. You decide when, you decide how much, you decide where, you decide with whom, and you decide
Mhm.
when not to. And I love that you're deciding to switch it up and take a break from seniors for a while to do something else because it's what you want to do, not because someone's telling you this is what I'd like you to do now. How does that feel, making your own decisions and having that sense of agency?
I love it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm afraid to date, because I'm worried that they're not going to respect my boundaries. Not because of the work that I do, because I don't plan on doing this for the rest of my life. I actually have something else coming up in the future. But other than that, I'm so worried about dating because I'm worried that they're going. I don't know really what I'm really, really, really worried about. I just, I don't know if a man is really into me or just saying the things so that I will fall for them.
Yeah.
But doing this work, I feel empowered. So as long as I'm just doing my work and I'm working for myself and not relying on a man, which by the way, so many people say, well, you have men who subscribe to you. I'm like, yeah, well, you work for a boss and you work for somebody that owns that company. So it's not any different. So, but I still work, but I like how I have control over my hours, my work. I get to decide. So, one of the reasons why I'm worried about dating is because what if they don't want me to do something and
Yeah.
I'll be like, why? I'm like, but I like doing that. And I'm not relating to like porn or anything, meaning just things in general. But I mean, I've been talking about how I need a dating coach
Yeah.
because
I know one, by the
I
way,
need,
if you need.
yeah,
Yeah.
I need one so bad. I have a therapist that I talked to that I recently just told her, like, I really want to start dating, but I don't want to start dating until I'm done with porn.
Yeah. But Tiff, it's like I'm a I don't know if I like the word strong woman because I think all women are strong, but I I'm very much a boss in my life, and I needed to have a man who not only respected that but liked it. Didn't try
Hmm.
to change me, doesn't try to take over, doesn't, but they really just needed the person that I'm with, Scott. He loves that about me. Like when we sit down at a restaurant, I get the menu and I order for the table. And he just adores that, right? And in other relationships that wasn't the case. Like they didn't feel like it was my place to do that. They wanted to be the one to make those big decisions. And I'm sure when you are ready that someone will come along who loves you for all the reasons that you should be loved for, which is the fact that you are this entrepreneur, that you do get to make these decisions in all aspects of your life, right? And they'll
Hmm.
not only respect it but love you for it. And yeah, I'll send you the episode. Her name is Damona Hoffman. She's an amazing dating coach and relationship
Okay.
coach. I'll
All
send you her
right.
episode, and then if you want her information, I'll send it to you. And a little plug for
Okay.
Damona. Shout out to her.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Um, wow, is there anything else that I didn't get to touch on that you do want to talk about before we close?
I don't think so. I think I said everything that I need to say.
Good, good. Well, this has been quite an education for me. I really hope whoever is listening will go to you have a website, which
Hmm.
is lovely. And it's just like you, and then like all these different places where you can subscribe to your videos, right? And
Hmm.
so go check out Wisconsin Tiff. Everything is at Wisconsin Tiff, right?
It's was Wisconsin Tiff XXX.com.
Oh, good. Okay. And Tiff with two
That's
F's,
the website name.
right? Yeah.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Say that again because I stepped on it. Just say it one more time.
You can find me at wisconsintiffxxx.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I hope everybody checks you out and is delighted with as delighted with what they see as I was. I was really pleasantly surprised and fascinated. And I just love that you've decided that this is your work. Like you're just going to do whatever you feel like doing, and this is your fan base, so you cater to them for a while and you'll probably go back to them, but right now you might do something else, and all that content is out there for people to enjoy and see. And we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.